Hello, everyone. Welcome once again to an episode of Not Quite Strangers. My name is Valerie Hope. I am your host. I'm also a leadership coach and a professional speaker. This time is an opportunity to hang out with a couple of random people, at least for you guys. They're not random to me, but they may be random to you viewers and listeners. And this is hopefully an opportunity to build some curiosity about what we're talking about and who we are as people, also to shift our perspectives perhaps about meeting strangers or about something that, some topic that we discussed, and ultimately build a connection. Really establishing a connection is the core of this podcast. I'm always so thrilled, and the universe has some really amazing ways to work because I'm never at a loss for meeting interesting people. And the two people that I have here with me today are, of course, as interesting as many of my guests, but I'll tell you why. First, we'll start off with Indiya Martinez. Indiya, this is the thing that's kind of cool. Indiya and I met because you were my Lyft driver a few weeks ago when I was going to the airport. And it was like a super early flight. I think I had to be at the airport like by 6 a.m. or something. You came to pick me up at 4 something or 5 something. And in just that 25-minute time, we had this really cool conversation about your love for all things vintage and fashion. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is so interesting. I didn't want to stop our conversation. But in that moment, I was like, you know what, Indiya? I think you should be on my podcast. And I know exactly who I would pair you up with. And entree, my friend Nadia De Col. Nadia is my fashionista friend. She has been my fashion stylist, actually, over the last few months. And Nadia, you and I met because of a common friend that we have. We have a friend, Dominique, who introduced me because I was asking her, hey, I'm looking to change up my style and I need some support. It's too hard to do it by myself. And ta-da, she introduced the two of us. Now, the cool thing is that you're in Switzerland. And so, we've had over the last, I think we worked together for about 3-4 months, maybe?
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, something like that. But your joy and passion for, and it's not even fashion, I think for expressing your personal style and helping other people discover their style, I thought, you know what, you and Indiya would have a fascinating conversation about this because both of you are just so keen and interesting. I thought, well, whatever could go wrong if we talk about fashion with people who love it. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Thank you, Valerie, for the invitation. And I'm looking forward to talk about fashion.
Well, let's start with a couple of things. One is, why did the two of you say, besides the fact that I invited you, but why did the two of you say yes to being on a podcast to talk with a stranger?
You can go first, Nadia.
Yes, okay. Because I love meeting new people. I think it's one of my passion in life. And maybe it's also what I do prefer with my job. Meeting new people from different culture, from different countries. I've been always interested in that.
And Indiya, what about you?
I would say for me, it was one, I didn't want the conversation to end. And number two, I'm a secret Lyft driver. No one else really knows about it. I do it super early and I meet the most interesting people when I do it. So it was great to think about, oh, well, you know what? We get to continue our conversation and I get to meet someone new. And I also, from having an online boutique and then sometimes doing events, I love meeting new people. I'm an introvert, but I love meeting new people in that moment because when it's talking about those things that I love, I forget that I'm an introvert.
You forget you're an introvert. Wait, yes. You said you were a secret Lyft driver. Did I just out you to like the world?
Yeah, it's okay. It's okay. My mom knows, and my boyfriend knows, but like no one else knows. Like, why are you up at 4:30 in the morning? And I'm like, oh yeah, I'm good.
Oh, I apologize. I didn't realize it was a secret.
No, it's is not a problem. It's
Okay.
not like I'm murdering people. It's okay.
Ooh, okay, good, good. I'm glad to hear that. So let's talk about one of the reasons that I thought the two of you would be such a great match is this whole idea of fashion and personal style. Both of you have come to it and expressed it in different ways. So talk to us a little bit about what is it that got you interested in fashion and style, and what does that look like for you? Whoever wants to start.
Maybe India, because it's my job. So I'm more curious about why India is so passionate about fashion.
I think when I was younger, I was raised a lot around my grandmother, and I had an aunt. She's probably maybe like 8 years older than me. And so she would always get like the Vogue magazine and Mademoiselle and all of that stuff. And I would just like, I remember Linda Evangelista's spreads from back then. And I fell in love with those things. And I fell in love with the jewelry and all of that stuff. So when my grandma would take me to the thrift store and as bribery, give me, a couple of dollars, I would get the little grab bag of jewelry and the most gaudiest item of clothing possible that spoke to me at 5, 6 years old. I was like, ooh, that fur, that mink fur that has the two, they look like like ferrets together connected. I was like, I love that. I want to put that on with 15 necklaces. Yes, of all different types of metal, but it helped me to develop my style from there. And I've always been kind of not not dressed like everyone else, or anything. And I actually end up getting a lot of compliments. Like I had a lady come up to me. There's a little neighborhood bar that we go to. And so one night I had this beautiful vintage wrap that I had just gotten from one of my thrift store hauls. And I have these gorgeous cameos. And so someone had taken and combined two cameos together and then put beautiful pieces of gold chain, and they made it their own and then had these huge pearls and everything. So I had it right here, and then I had my little thigh high suede boots on and everything. And so this lady comes up to me, she's like, you do know you're in a neighborhood bar, hun? And I was like, yeah. And so one of my friends who's known me, Chris, was sitting next to me. He's like, oh, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Wherever she goes, she's going to be overdressed because that's just who she is. Because she was like, you have on suede boots. You have on a vintage. And I was like, yeah. And then I had on huge hoop earrings. And my hair was my hair, I have crazy curly hair. So my hair was down and crazy looking. And she's just like, but I love your style. I would never be brave enough to wear that. And I was like, the people that live in my head, we're all friends together. And whatever we want to put on, we're going to put it on. So
Self-expressed.
yes.
That's cool. Huh. So Nadia, what do you think about that now that you've heard?
I think that India has definitely a personal style, and she's exactly putting into practice what I want my clients to do. I mean, having the personal style, because to me is definitely a way to express who we are. And in Europe, at least, we like to think that appearance is not important, but it's the other way around. Appearance is very important because it's like, an extension of our identity. So every day when we dress up, we decide what we want to communicate to the world. And so I don't want people to look all the same. I would love every single woman or man look unique. So personal style, it's a way to express our uniqueness. So apparently it's what you are doing already.
From age 6, apparently.
Yes. I have been a character pretty much. I've always been very aware of who I am and very aware that I'm different. And so doing that and then being transplanted to Texas, as I've gotten older, I have went through phases of kind of, wanting being, because my actual job, aside from my secret Lyft driving, my actual job is I'm an accountant, and they tend to be very vanilla. And so walking into the office with my vintage jewelry and, my dress code that I have to be in, prior to COVID, that those were the only ways that I was able to express myself, when I was first starting out into my career. And then as I got further into my career, I developed a style to be able to, yes, I can still express it. No, I'm not vanilla. I have a creative mind and I'm very intelligent and I'm able to get my job done, but I'm gonna wear that vintage seashell necklace with the shells on it, or I'm gonna wear, my hoop earrings that someone else will be like, oh, that doesn't go together. Everything goes together with me. I'm gonna figure out a commonality, and once I put it on, it's like, yeah, I'm good.
It
And I
works.
feel good. Yeah.
Nadia, can you tell us how you got involved in this idea of developing a personal style? Like, why does that even matter to you?
Yeah, we have a common point with India. I have a first professional life. I used to be a banker in wealth management. And so I had to have a strict dress code. And I've been interested in fashion since ever. When I was a child, with my first pocket money, I wanted to buy dresses, and I was just admiring all the fabrics and colors and the feeling of being well dressed according to my taste. And then, I'm originally from Italy, so in Italy it's part of the culture to to like fashion. But then in banking, I could realize how our image, our style can impact our self-confidence, self-esteem, success. And I wanted then, after 20 years, my need for more creativity in my life was so important that I changed work life. I mean, I started a new profession, and I was trained in Italy and in Paris. And yes, I would like women to feel. What I want to reach with my profession is to help women mainly to feel more confident, to feel more beautiful. Because when we are confident, beautiful, then we are more performant. We say performant? Yes.
We perform better. Yeah, we perform
yes,
better.
you perform better and you are more happy. And when you are more happy, everything goes better. And yes, it's the main reason. And because I think also that even if we are in a corporate world, we can express our personal style while being credible professionally wise. And I've seen too many women renouncing to the personal taste because they wanted to be vanilla, as you were saying, to fit in what was expected from them. But at the same time, I've seen also too many women exaggerating with the style and then losing their credibility.
Yep.
Because our image does not influence our expertise, but it does influence the perception of our competencies or expertise. Yes. So now today I had a coffee with a friend, and he told me that he has hired a young woman, and she arrived the first day at the office with a very deep neckline, V-neck, this is not appropriate. Then, we complain that women are not taken seriously enough.
Mm.
So there is a balance
Yeah.
in everything. So I want to help people to express their personality while being aligned with their environment, position, or industry.
That's huge. It's interesting. I'm so far on the other side of the spectrum from the two of you when it comes to fashion. I don't recall at any point in my childhood ever wanting to buy anything related to clothing or jewelry or any of those things. I did like have dolls, but my mom told me that I used to pretend to teach my doll. I was a teacher. So this is what I do now. So I was expressing that part of myself. But it's interesting. I grew up with 3 brothers. My mother was always kind of, she wasn't like a girly girl. So dressing up was never like a big deal. She was always very practical. And I grew up that way too. And I think what's been interesting, and I've had moments, and I want to ask you how your style has evolved over the years. But I think for me, I've gone from the tomboy, just like, whatever, I don't care what I wear. I just want to be comfortable and able to hang out with all my friends and do stuff, to like, oh, I want to dress it up. I want to fit in professionally, like you guys were saying. But then I didn't want to fit in so well that I didn't feel like my personality showed. And so I've gone through all sorts of layers. And I think now today, I don't know, it might change again later, I'm sure. But now today I'm like, okay, how do I express certain qualities of my personality through my style? So, bright colors, Nadia, you've helped me identify, here's the best palette to wear for my skin tone and all that. So that's been helpful. But I'm curious about how the two of you have evolved, right? Since you were children, buying mink and, and dresses. How did you evolve your style over time?
After my banking career, I, of course, let my creativity express. And I realized also it helped me to know myself better. And so through my style, now I express who I am. And I am quite a rebel person. So my style is much more, I'm a rebel. I like to feel free. And, I like the hippie style, but with my personal style now, I want to express rock, bohemian, and also if I am in a corporate environment, there is always a piece showcasing this personal style. And I don't know if I'm answering the question, but yes, my style has evolved to a more rock and roll bohemian style, much less classical.
Rock and roll bohemian style. All right.
Yes. Now when I wear a suit, I feel like, oh my God, it's not me. I'm like an actress.
Yeah.
India, what about for you? How have you evolved?
Well, one of the things for me, and she talked about that, the fabrics. My mom's also a seamstress. So as I got older and I did not hate going to the fabric store, and I started to touch everything, because before it was like it had to be made and I needed it, to see it. But then once I started learning more about fabrics and learning about patterns and different things like that, I would say that originally growing up, I was the child that was in elementary school. The way that my mom dressed me, I had slacks and the teacher had slacks. Our slacks were the same color. I was in kindergarten. So,
slacks in kindergarten.
Yeah. So I was just like, all that I remember thinking was, man, when I can dress myself, lady, I can dress myself. And so once I got to junior high, of course, you go with the trend. So when I was in junior high here in Texas, everybody's wearing the Cavariccis and wearing the penny loafers. And I still love Cole Haan as a designer. Other people are like, Cole Haan, like they think they only made shoes. It's like they have amazing products. Just we were younger and didn't know that. And now I'm older and it's like I just sold a vintage Cole Haan purse and it was extremely well made, but they have, good quality products. So I think for me, as I've gotten older, there are some, because of loving vintage things, there are some tried and true classic things. Like I have the blazer with the elbow pads on it, the traditional blazer, but it's not in navy blue, it's not in black. I have it in heather gray with the navy blue patches on there, and it's a certain brand, and it's like, that is a very, very classic style. You have to have at least one of those things in there, but it still has a little bit of me, because it's heather gray. It's not a normal color that it would be in. When I wear it with some navy blue pencil pants with the little slits on the side, and I love shoes, so I'm gonna have, a nice shoe with it. Either it's gonna be a boot if it's this time of the year, or it's gonna be a nice little chunky heel with some color. Um, but I've just, throughout the years, there's certain designers that have spoken to me through the things that they've created and design. And some people, like one of my aunts told me the other day, and yeah, there's other designers that are way better, but like I love Jessica Simpson's shoes. They're not the most comfortable, but I love her shoes. I love the design. I love the pops of color. I love the sequence. I love all of that stuff. Am I going to wear an all sequence outfit? No, I am not. But I will put that on with something else that's pretty quiet. And I've learned it's not all, because once I first started dressing myself, it was like I said, I'm going to put on all the necklaces at one time. So I learned less is more. Less is more. So I'm going to have on, a beautiful, asymmetrical. I know the certain types of style that look really good on me. I'm going to have an asymmetrical dress on, and then have on, that's a classic style. I may have it with something with a bunch of color, and then have on some solid pieces to go along with it. And then one of the other things that I love, and I collect Betsy Johnson. Betsy Johnson style is out there. Now, I wish that I could be completely out there, but again, I am an accountant, naturally an accountant. So there's parts of me that I'm still going to be very rigid with. I'm going to have that, but probably going to have on 5 rings and, carry one of her purses, or, but they're all going to be in the same metal. So my style has learned that, okay, I can still have those nice iconic pieces, but I can take and marry them, always making sure that I still shine through on everything that I'm wearing. Like, you're gonna know, like, if I put on something and I'm like, yeah, that's something you would wear. Even my sister will call me and be like, oh my God, I seen this and I knew that this was something. And people just know that, just because of how they understand and they see. Like, I'm only
47. They know your style. They've seen you.
Yeah, I'm only 47, but I have been curating this style for a very long time.
That's so deep. Go ahead.
Sorry, Valerie. I have some questions for you. So, if I understand well, when you dress up, it's first for you feeling good, right? Okay. And have you experienced the fact of being perceived in the wrong way that you wanted to be perceived?
Yes, I have.
Okay. And this is a problem for you or not?
Not anymore. It was a problem for me in the beginning because and I think that just the evolution of times have helped that to not be a problem anymore. I do have tattoos, and I have been in corporate America. I didn't get my tattoos until I was an adult, not, I was 15 and I snuck it. No, I got my first tattoo very aware of what I was doing when I was 19 years old. So my tattoos are strategically placed. However, if I wear a U-shaped sweater, sometimes it may come down a little bit and, you may see a little bit of something. And when you're having a conference, when we're sitting in a boardroom with executives and I'm presenting to them their financials, and someone's looking at me and they see that, that has actually, sometimes I've had that to where now I have to defend my knowledge because they would
Credibility.
because this was before tattoos were really accepted. And so I always had to be very aware of, what I was wearing and making sure that nothing was showing, which is why I have a million blazers and cardigans and things like that, just for that fact. But as evolution of time has come, now it's way more accepted because I'm sitting there with the owner of the company who has a full sleeve. He doesn't care.
Yes. But then you confirm. Yes, but then you confirm to me
millions of dollars.
I think you're lagging a little bit. Okay, there we go.
Okay, yes. So, India, you confirm to me the fact that our image does influence our chances of success or feeling happy, because, a first impression is done in 3 seconds. So, and you were explaining before that your style did impact your the perception of your capabilities. So you are confirming what I was explaining before. And my question to you is, did you feel sad or unhappy about the fact that you were not perceived the way you are? I mean, the level of your capabilities were not perceived how they should be. Did you suffer
Yes.
from that or not?
My initial reaction was I was angry. I was angry because I have fought really hard for my education and to make sure that I'm knowledgeable in all of the things that I do related to finance and accounting, because I've worked myself through the industry. Within accounting, I've worked myself through accounting and within different industries. So it was very off-putting to me because of that. But then, that initial anger was my first reaction. But then after that, it did go to sadness for a moment, because I won't allow myself to stay in that space very long. And so what I did was I just challenged myself. You know what? I have to work 10 times.
Oh, I think you're losing your audio a little bit. India, we're losing your audio. It's glitchy on your end.
Can
you hear me?
Because
India, can you hear me?
Okay. Can you hear me? Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. It just got glitchy there for a moment.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. You're frozen, but we hear you clearly.
That's okay. Now you can.
Wow.
Wow.
There we go. Now you're back.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
So you said you felt angry and you're upset, you're sad that, those things had an impact on your, this is so interesting. And I hear you've asked me a lot of the same questions. So I know where you go. And this is not a coaching session, by the way, Nadia.
No,
Stand down. But I will say, what's so challenging for me, I think I don't think I've ever had, no one's told me this. I've never had someone do or say anything that made me perceive that somehow how I was dressed or not dressed impacted their trust in me or credibility. I'm not saying that doesn't happen. I'm not saying I can't read other people's minds, but I think there's a line, and the two of you both have said it so beautifully. You found a space in which you could express your true selves, right? Express yourselves fully. And I think for me, it's always been a balance of, I don't want to have to work so hard at it. I don't, India, you listed all of these different brand names and the medals, and you have all these details. And I'm like, I don't want to work that hard. I really want this to be easy and comfortable. Nadia, I think you helped me kind of find a middle ground, right? So here, focus on these things and kind of simplify. So that's helped somewhat. But I mean, how do you guys reconcile what society wants and expects versus what feels authentic to you?
There is a balance, you know, you need to find the right balance between respecting you and your personality and what the world is expecting from you.
Mm-hmm. How do you know when you're balanced and when you're not? Like what should people pay attention to, or what do you pay attention to?
It's why I exist. I mean, because I've been trained to because they are, you know, it's everything is about non-verbal communication. So everything, the color speaks about you, the style you choose, you know, with the style, we have what we call a style DNA. And for women, there are 7 different style DNA. And so when you know your style, personal style, when you know your colors, when you know how to flatter your figure, because India, one question I had for you was also, do you matter? I mean, are you interested in flattering your, you know, figure, or you just want to express your creativity?
No, I'm very, very aware of my figure and the things that look good on me, and that comes from reading Mademoiselle and Vogue and all of these magazines growing up throughout my life. Those are the things that it's like, okay, I was a shape, you know, so this is what's gonna look good on me. And then as I learned, as I started buying, you know, being aware of the types of dresses that I was buying and knowing, okay, I'm a little bit shorter. I identify with being tall, but I am actually shorter. So
you say I identify with being tall. Okay.
So I know that long dresses, because of my height, I don't have the right heel.
Okay, hang on a second, India. You're glitching a little bit.
It looks very heavy on me. So
you're glitching
let me
a
go
little
grab
bit.
my headset if that's okay.
Yeah, go for it. Okay, we had a bit of a technical glitch as happens sometimes with our virtual sessions, but I want to come back, and I don't remember exactly what we were talking about before, but there's something really interesting that Nadia, you were talking about, and that was the distinction between style and fashion, right? But I think the thing that comes to mind for me, based on what the two of you shared, is a big part of who you are is not a big part of who we are is expressed through how we look, right? How we look and how we show up in the space. But you also said not only how we look, but also how you feel about how you look, right? So let me ask this. How do the two of you feel about how you look when you walk into a space dressed as with the creativity or with the style that you want to express? How does it feel? Like, what emotions or sensations come up? India, you can go first, and make sure that your audio is back on.
Okay. I feel confident in all of my knowledge. I feel like it exudes through that confidence.
So confidence. Nadia, what about you? How do you feel?
Yes, I also feel confident and aligned. For me, it's very important. And when I'm with the clothes that I like, which is almost all my clothes now, I feel beautiful. Even if I have, you know, a complex part of myself that I don't like, I always feel beautiful and confident.
How much of that would you guys say is a so culturally, how has your culture influenced this perception about your style or how you express yourself in your style? Because, you know, we're talking Texas and United States, and we're talking Switzerland, Italian, and then Swiss. Oh my goodness. So how How would you guys say that your surroundings, your culture, your upbringing influence this idea of of this style that you've established?
For me, yes, in Italy, style is a very important topic. Fashion is very important topic, but I realized that in Italy, because Switzerland is a bit different, but in Italy, it's all the people are concerned about feeling good and wearing clothes that flatter themselves. It's really deep in the culture. So I think I'm very Italian for that. And yes, so I've been influenced by that, even if I have a mother who is not interested in fashion at all. And yes, now when, she see me on social media, and then she talks to me and she said, I don't know how you start to love, why you started to love clothes so much. And because I'm so different from you, and I cannot understand. Maybe your grandma, because my grandmother used to create clothes,
Like a seamstress, like your mom.
Yes. So yes. My culture, I think it's my Italian part, which influenced myself to, yes, I want to look my best all the time.
Yeah. I
But
love it.
it can be with the jeans and the t-shirt. I mean, I'm not speaking about dress up. I think we can look beautiful with the jeans and the t-shirt.
Yeah.
India, what would you say to that?
For me, my culture did not play any sort of key factor into it. I've just always been the person, if I like something, I like it. The colors and different styles and things like that, again, just the magazines and my mom being a seamstress, those things did influence me in that aspect, because again, I know what's gonna look nice on me. I know my sizes and the evolution of sizes I've been through. And so, but yeah, my culture did not have an impact on me in that aspect, because I've always kind of been myself. I've never let that be a deciding factor on me and how I interact with my world.
I think both of you are really aligned when it comes to that. It's so embedded in who you are, right? And how you show up in the world and what's important to you, which is why I was like, this is the matchup. The one thing I will say I'm struggling with as it relates to the topic of fashion and style and all of that is the consumerism of it, right? That there's always something more to get. There's another piece of jewelry. There's another, handbag. There's another pair of shoes, like all those types of things. And how sustainable it is. And I remember seeing a presentation at UC Berkeley. We have a course where we asked students to give a passion speech. And one of the students in his passion speech talked about when he and his wife had traveled to China, which is where they're from. Actually, first they went to Hong Kong and all the, the high-end fashion houses in Hong Kong, and they had an opportunity to look there. And then he talked about his wife going to one of the cities in China where they manufacture some of the clothing for these fashion houses, and the conditions that he saw, and just, it was the pollution as a result of what he saw of the manufacturing process. And I don't know, it just helped me think much more deeply about the impact what we wear and what we choose and how much of it we buy has on our planet. So does that ever crossed your mind? Like, how do you guys reconcile some of that? Does it matter?
Yes, it was one of the reasons I wanted, to help people to consume less and better. I used to be, my personal case was very interesting, because I used to consume a lot because, I wanted to compensate a frustration that I had in my professional life and also maybe personal life with fashion, because I was passionate about fashion. So I was buying and buying for feeling better. And once when I changed job and I realized the impact of the fashion industry on the planet, I became so much more aware, and I changed my mindset. So now I really want to wear only clothes that make me feel good, that are my personal style, even if they are not trendy. I'm not concerned about trends anymore. And I really buy less and better, because I know exactly what make me feel good. Yes. And I also like a lot secondhand. So I was a good client for secondhand shops.
There you go, India. India has one, a vintage shop. So, India, what about you?
That's one of the reasons why I went to why I love vintage things. Is number one, I feel like a lot of the materials and the artistry in the jewelry, the artistry in the clothing, I feel that those things today, they are not the same quality. And so for me, I would say not 100%, but I would say at least 90% of my wardrobe is vintage. And I take very, very good care of those items, so I'm able to turn around and return them for someone else to love later on. So that's one of the reasons why I have a vintage store, is because I want people to understand the story of the product, the story of the purse. Like I was saying with the Cole Haan, it's a basket weave purse. It's gorgeous. And so I'll take the time to research it and, be able to give the buyer of that purse the story about that. The jewelry, the same thing. So those things, they have a story, and I think that those stories need to be told, and they also need to get new life with someone new after you've had them. So take care of them, so that way they're able to have a second life, and if there's repairs that need to be done, from my mom being a seamstress, she's taught me, and then she's also taught her granddaughter. So that's something, that I will repair something, and I have no problem with it. I love it. I will change something if I need to. So, there's always a way to make it your own, but it's very important. People don't realize that. People don't think about that. People don't think about the conditions of the workers. People don't think about that it literally may have only taken a few dollars to make this item, but it's being sold for thousands of dollars. But in the same respect, people also don't know that a Louis Vuitton purse, and when they're handmade, and the detail, and if you ever watch how a purse is made, or if you ever watch a video on how a piece of jewelry is made, you would have a way different respect for those items, because you see the artistry, you see the care and the detail that go into it for the artist that's making it. And so I want to celebrate the artists. I want to celebrate their endeavor and what they've made, because I make jewelry, and I know that it's tedious. I will string a whole necklace and take it apart, and because it's not what I want, it's a passion. And so I want to show someone else's passion and care for it.
Wow. At this point, I think would be helpful for anyone that's been listening to this conversation. And, obviously the two of you have had quite a journey in your own lives to express your style, the meaning that your style has to you personally, but also what you want to project to other people. If you were to give the listeners some advice, or to challenge them to do or think in a different way, what would each of you want to invite the viewers and listeners to do as a result of our conversation today?
On my side, I would like the listeners to try to consume less and more consciously, and think of every item has a spirit, and India was very well explaining that. So I would recommend, I would love the listener to appreciate every item they have, and try to put fashion at their service instead of being a fashion victim.
Fashion at your service versus fashion victim.
Yeah.
Wow. I like that. Nadia, I'm sorry, India.
I would challenge, if it's a person that's not into, because some people have their own qualms about thrift stores or secondhand shops or boutiques or anything like that, vintage items. I would challenge person, and if you're in Dallas, we can go together. Go to
Go to where?
Don't have a set. Go to a thrift store.
Mm.
Go to any thrift store. Go to a consignment shop. Go and if you're a woman, go look in the dresses, and literally don't just scan through and look at, oh, this color speaks to me. No, go through each of the dresses, pull them out, look at them, the ones that are really and truly vintage, and look at the detail. And think about the tools that person may have had during that time period when they made it. And I think that would give someone a different appreciation for it, to actually take and look at the details of it, not just, oh, this is a dress. Oh, it's an A-line dress. Oh, it's this. Like, really and truly look at the details. Look at the beading. Look at all of those things. And then think about the person that made it, or think about how it was made. And the appreciation and the details, I think, would help a person to have a better appreciation for those things.
Wow. So really take some time. It sounds like, we might need to take a field trip, because I don't usually look at vintage. So I might take you up on that, India. But also, like you said, not to just look at the consumer from the consumer perspective, but to honor the craftsmanship that went into it. And I think it really speaks to, what Nadia, you said about being able to appreciate, right?
Yeah.
Appreciate the item. And I gotta admit, I don't think I do. There's 15 of it on the rack. I find the one that's my size, that I like the shape, or I like the color that seems to fit my palette, all that. And that's it. But I don't think about who put it together, how it got to the store. I don't think about, the craftsmanship that went into designing this particular cut. And so nice challenge. Okay. Woo! And as we wrap up our conversation, share with each other, what are you taking away from our conversation today? In light of all the technical challenges that we experienced, that aside, what are you taking from our interaction today?
Oh my God.
What's wrong? Are you okay?
Yeah.
We can hear you. All right. We hear you. What are you taking away from our conversation?
I'm taking away from the conversation consuming it less, because I buy 18 pounds of jewelry at a time from an auction.
Wow.
Consuming less.
18 pounds of
That
jewelry.
is yes. And
Okay.
it gives me hours of pleasure going through them.
Well, to support you, India, I'll make sure to put the link to your shop, your online shop. You have an online shop, right?
Yes.
Yeah. To make sure that I put the link so people can help you get rid of your 18 pounds of jewelry, if you're selling it.
I would actually have to list it for
Oh.
that to happen.
All right.
Yeah, I've got quite a bit of stuff. But
Got
yeah, consume less.
Consume less. Nadia, what about for you?
I think what I take with me is that it's about creativity. I was impressed by India talking about the creativity behind the items. I mean, behind the clothes, and how fashion can help to express creativity, even if we are not in a creative job initially. I mean, India is an accountant. I used to be a banker, and so fashion helped us to express our creativity.
Mm,
And I would love to see more people doing this.
mm. There you go. You heard it here, y'all. Consume less, create more.
Yeah.
As it relates to your style. Thank the two of, I want to thank the two of you so much for our conversation today, and whatever it took for you to be here and be engaged in this conversation, and to share a bit of yourself. We might be able to follow some of, if you have some of your fashion display or style display online, and Nadia, I'll put your link and stuff too in the show notes, so people could follow you and they can see some of the things that you were talking about. But more than anything, I think what the two of you share is really the freedom for people to own their self-expression, and to do it in ways that are conscious and that honor those that actually put together the items that we choose to express ourselves. And I mean, that could be said for so many things: our vehicles, our foods, our, the furniture, like all sorts of things. So thank you both so much for being here today and sharing a bit of yourselves with us.
Thank you
Thank
for
you.
inviting us. Thank you.
Hey.
Bye.
Well, hang on before you leave. I'm going to say to the people who've been watching, thank you all for tuning in to this episode of Not Quite Strangers. Please like us, favorite us, or rate us on your favorite podcasting platform. That's a way for other people to find out about this. And if you're interested, the subscription information is coming right after this, so that you know how not to miss a single episode of our podcast. Thank you all so much for tuning in. Have a wonderful rest of the day, everyone. Bye.
You've been listening to the podcast Not Quite Strangers. Be sure to subscribe or follow on your favorite video or podcast platform. And for more information and content, go to notquitestrangers.com. See you next time.